He's Rob Demovsky. He's ESPN National Packers reporter, and he joins us from Lambeau Field. How's the mood there at Lambeau today, Rob?
Well, I'll tell you this, Dan. On my way into the stadium, I did drive down the street called Mike McCarthy Way, and the sign is still up.
Oh, it's unpacker-like, though, to do this.
Yeah.
It almost feels like Packer fans, you may want it, but did you want it right now? So why was Mike McCarthy fired right now?
Yeah, it almost, there's all those Green Bay guys that are in Cleveland now, John Dorsey, Elliott Wolf, Alonzo Highsmith. It almost feels like a Browns move that has come to Green Bay, something they would do. I think the why now is obviously the last straw was the game yesterday against Arizona. Just, you can't lose that game at home. It looked like the players didn't exactly play for them in a game that they had to have to keep any hope alive. This was inevitable. It was coming at the end of the season. Maybe two things. One, it allows Mark Murphy, the team president, to do a little bit of the legwork before all these other jobs open up so that when January 1 hits, he can hit the ground running. And two, everyone wants to paint it as Mike McCarthy deserved better. Maybe it was better for Mike that he didn't have to stand there for 4 weeks and answer questions about his future, and maybe it spared him a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand the lame duck part of this because I didn't think McCarthy was going to be back. But the role that Aaron Rodgers has played and will continue to play in the coaching situation is what?
Well, he's got to have a guy that he can work with, and the coach has to be able to work with him. That was basically the gist of my piece that's up on ESPN.com right now, is that the pressure is now a little bit back on Aaron Rodgers because, right or wrong, it's perceived that he orchestrated this. And look, the relationship with McCarthy wasn't what it had been. They did win a lot of games together. They did have conflict, but they were always able to win. But once you couldn't win, the conflict became probably the reason that they didn't. And I wrote this, look, if there's 2 head coach openings, and right now there are, and one of them is Cleveland, which has a young, impressionable, moldable quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and the other is a quarterback that has, obviously accomplished a lot, but that you have to manage. Would the job be more attractive with a quarterback that you can mold versus one that you have to manage? And I think that's part of what you get with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I said I would probably lean towards the Browns opening, believe it or not. You have that legacy, the history of the Packers, but I get Rodgers at 35. I get Baker Mayfield at, 24? And it just feels like Cleveland is moving up. Green Bay's heading down. Have you heard any real names here, possibilities as the next head coach?
Well, here's the big thing, Dan, is who's making the hire. They changed the structure. I remember we talked about this earlier in the year. It used to be the general manager always hired and fired the coach here. That's what made them successful when Bob Harlan brought Ron Wolf in and he hired Mike Holmgren and so on and so on. Well, this offseason they changed the structure when Ted Thompson got pushed out. The general manager doesn't hire the coach. Now the president does. I was told that the general manager is going to have a lot of say in it, but it's not his call. He wants a no-nonsense guy. I was told he loves Jim Harbaugh. Now, obviously, there's a lot that comes with Jim Harbaugh, and he's not going to be the only candidate around. But if Jim Harbaugh is looking to get back into the NFL, the Packers might have an interest in him. I wouldn't rule out a college coach. I know you had Lincoln Riley on. Did you ask him if he's interested in Green Bay?
I said, do you owe it to yourself? Is there an obligation for you to explore these jobs? And he said, no, there's not. Which, that doesn't mean he's not going to be interested. It's just a smart response.
Totally. Yeah, he's got a lot riding on the next month or so. But Mark Murphy, obviously he played in the NFL. He's been in the NFL, but he was an athletic director at Northwestern. He hired Pat Fitzgerald. Brian Gutekunst, the GM, was the director of college scouting. There's a lot of college ties. But logic, Dan, says it's going to be they're looking for the next Sean McVay. The only problem is 2 things. Is there a next Sean McVay? And did anybody know Sean McVay was going to be Sean McVay?
No. And I think everybody said, oh, that guy's going to be the next head coach. He's too young. Oh, these players won't listen to him. And then they'll listen to you if you make them better, smarter.
Yeah, remember when they hired Mike Holmgren in 1992? Everybody in the league wanted to interview Mike Holmgren. It was obvious Mike Holmgren was the number one guy. I think he interviewed at like 5 or 6 teams and finally picked the Packers, probably because of Favre. there's no obvious candidate at this point, but it's got to be somebody with an inventive offense that Aaron Rodgers is going to buy into.
Yeah, I thought Josh McDaniels would be on the short list.
I think he will. I still think that even though Minnesota's offense has come under fire, I still think the coordinator there, DeFilippo, is going to be a guy they look at as well.
Urban Meyer, would they do kick the tires on Urban Meyer?
I can't see it just with all the I guess I hate to use the word baggage, but with all the things that you would get with Urban Meyer. But I guess you could say the same about Harbaugh as well.
Oh, boy, you'd give a week's pay to have Harbaugh come in there, wouldn't you?
It would be interesting. It would definitely. I definitely get a lot of airtime on SportsCenter if that was the case.
Rob, good to visit with you. Thanks for joining us as always.
Always appreciate it, Dan.
That's Rob Demovsky. He covers the Packers for the Mothership. Joining us from Lambeau.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.